maintain. So today my snow out there. Yeah, we used to have field trip days.
All right, I'd like to call the Dover Select Board meeting to order at 6:30 PM on Tuesday, June 7th, 2022. First order of business, public comments. I have an addition to the agenda. We're going to have a brief executive session for personnel with the police department at the end of the meeting. Anything else for public comments? Hearing none, then we'll talk about the police.
Well, there you go. So we are due to the you guys proposing the rate increases this year for salaries. So we look at this every couple of years about what we charge for outside employment and stuff. And I believe I emailed all you guys a copy of what we're going to be doing, what it costs, and my proposed rates starting July 1st are $70 for supervisors per hour, $55 for officers, and that would include Shelley if she ever participates in a outside employment. And the only time that would happen is like back when we had like the -0 and those concerts. The last time we did this was July of 2019. And back then it was $60 for supervisors and $55 for all others. So if you can see on that sheet that I emailed out you guys, you can see what the total hourly cost is per employee over on the far right hand corner. And that includes the taxes, what it's costing. So that's what the hourly rates are. Can answer any questions. You know, I figured like the $70 for supervisor, that's in between, you know, Mike and I. We're not supposed to, we're not really a business. We're supposed to be making money, we're supposed to be kind of like breaking even. But with that being said, and then with the officers, you know, it's $55. And so that pretty much will cover everybody else in there. And with that, some departments also may, this is why we're going with this, with that also, some departments, not all throughout the state, they may charge an extra amount if there's cruisers involved. We don't really do outside employment anymore. You know, we're like on the side of the road where cruisers are being operated all day long with gas and lights going. Right now, they're only used to transport the officer to and from the event. That way, if there's an issue, then there's a cruiser there with the equipment in there that's needed. So I figured that a little extra there will help out dollar amount. So that's going forward. If you guys have any difference in if it should be more or less.
I have one question.
Yeah.
These new rates, Randy, they're based on the July 1st pay rate for our officers.
Yes, they are.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Any other questions? Does someone want to make a motion that we increase our?
I move that we approve the recommended rates for outside employment from the police department.
Which is
$70 for supervisors, $55 for officers.
So who are the supervisors?
Randy
and
and Mike.
myself.
Okay, so we would lose money if you're out there though.
Yeah, and I'm not out there that much compared to where it's like Mike and anybody else is, because usually the other staff is out there before I am. In most of these events that we go to are a couple of days anyway. So, you know, if I do happen to work one of them, then yeah, there's a possibility that Mike's always there, you know, as well, or the officers. So it's a medium, you know, instead of trying to figure out how to do it per person. It's just a catch-all.
to that?
Something we've been doing for years and years and years.
So there's no difference in the officers? It was
No, because
55.
if you look down that right-hand column, there's really nobody making more than
Okay.
$55.
So this is not the second guess because I didn't do the numbers, but this is definitely the next year's rate.
Yep, Shelley has a thing in her computer and it all does those. Yeah.
I'm not seeing, the only thing I'm seeing on here is overtime rates. I'm just, I have to see the comparison on my page.
Well, Joe, if I'm, or Randy, if I'm not, most of this is overtime, so that's why we have to do the overtime rate.
Yeah.
Right, I'm
Right.
just seeing the overtime rate. I know what their salaries are. so
Okay.
I can't in my head. I just assume it's.
I second it with the rates included.
Okay, so so Dan seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Anything else for us, Randy? Okay. Next, we have the highway department, and Travis is on with us about the zero-turn mower for the maintenance department. Travis? Can you unmute? Thank you.
Yeah, so this is the budgeted mower that we had put in for this upcoming year. I went out, we tested one out last summer, and we got prices on that machine. Dave liked it. We thought it was a good bang for our buck, and so I believe you guys got forwarded the prices.
We did.
Okay. I'd like to purchase the mower from Joseph Brown Small Engine Repair if we can in July when the time comes.
Travis, are these in stock or is this an order situation?
They are in stock, but the reason I would like the go ahead is the machine might need to be assembled, or some of the attachments that we're having put on the machine might need to be ordered or come in so that we can get our machine in timely manner. Yes.
Okay, and so just for everybody's information, the lower bid, which is Joseph Brown Small Engine, is $1,000 less than the second bid.
Yeah. And we had budgeted 12,000 total for the unit.
So if somebody wants to make a motion that we buy the Husqvarna Z554L commercial zero-turn mower from Joseph R. Brown for $10,325.99.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything else for us, Travis?
Yeah, I got an update on the town hall ramp. We have run into that door in the front of the town hall needs to be replaced. You're looking at an extra $6,300 to replace it with something of the same so that it will work with the new ramp that's being installed.
Can you explain a little more?
The one we have is rotten. I don't believe a wheelchair person could open it and use it by themselves. The jams are broken. The lock doesn't work that great. It's due for replacement. It needs a little bit of sill work underneath to make everything match up. So yeah, it's definitely needed.
Sarah?
Are we gonna be getting the same kind of door?
Yes.
Because if we've got a problem with rot, should we be?
I didn't get what the actual door was, but I got the price from Travis Windle. He said everything will be close to the same. That way we have the same aesthetic look, but a door that works.
Right. How old is this door, though? The one that we're replacing?
No, he's building it.
But the current door is not that old.
Right. So what I'm
'Cause it's-
asking is, should we be looking at a different material? If the old door is not really that old and it's already up for replacement, should we be
Okay,
considering something else?
I can find out what that material is that he's looking at getting for us, but to get this project done and
Yep.
moving forward, we probably should do it, but I can look into it, anything you want.
thanks, Travis. Dan?
I spoke to Travis this morning because he thought he was coming to the meeting. He's gonna be making the door out of mahogany. It's gonna be made. Because it's a size that you couldn't find anymore.
So it's a custom-made door, Travis, is that correct?
I didn't get details. I only got a price and what it included, which it included door jambs, extensions, trim, and sill work of all the same as what we basically have there now.
Sarah?
What's the current door? What material?
I believe it's something of the same. I don't know what type of wood it is, but it was something that Bob and Dave had installed years prior to. Dave would know better than I when they put it in.
You may.
I'm just curious, how will it be handicapped accessible? The new door? Do you know what? Can you hear me? Oh,
Whatever requirements it needs, I believe it needs to meet a requirement so that a latch could be operated by a handicapped person, and it probably has to have an automatic closing function.
Sarah?
Will they give us any sort of a warranty on the door from deterioration? I mean, I usually.
I can find out.
But we're spending a fair amount of money to replace a door that isn't all that old. And I don't want to be having this conversation again in 5 or 6 years. Well,
Joe? Are you-
That door gets a lot of weather. And if we can do any maintenance to it on a regular basis, it'll last longer probably. So that's more the key than whatever. But because it gets so bad weather against that door is half the reason, sir. So I don't aesthetically, like he's saying, if you want, we have to aesthetically, because it's a historic building, we kind of are at whatever.
Dan?
So.
Most of the damage to the door is caused by wind blowing it open and slamming against the side of the building.
Yeah.
So if you have the right devices, it won't do that, which will make the door last a lot longer.
Correct.
Yep.
So how does the board want to proceed?
I make a motion that we go with the recommendation that Travis worked on.
second.
Any other discussion? I would appreciate if you would ask what kind of warranty we're gonna get, and is it a custom-made door? I think it is. If you could find that out.
I will find that out and update you. Yes, of course.
All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right, well, we got to vote for this door.
Are we allowed to do that?
We should actually get 2 quotes. Do you think that that's a viable option?
I think you're gonna tie up your job, but yeah, we could.
I'm just thinking about our purchasing policy.
Yeah.
Under $5,000, isn't it?
This is 6,300.
Close enough. I'm gonna say, it's pretty, how much more time, we're gonna slow down the project. I say get it done. We should have done this 4 years ago.
I know.
They're working. They can come see me if $1,300 is too much over. Complain about it. We've tried to get this done and we haven't been able to with COVID and everything, and it's to the point where we gotta get it done. So sometimes you have to make a special. I get it.
Anybody else?
I
Sarah?
would just, perhaps what we do then is ask if you can make 2 phone calls tomorrow to other possible sources, and if you can get an answer back in a day or 2, great.
Okay.
If not, then we could go ahead. So it isn't holding the job up too much, but we at least give ourselves some information.
Okay,
I would agree with that.
Sounds good. We
Okay.
should have looked at this before.
Okay,
Well, then, so it's amend the motion then. Right?
so yes, we should probably, so Joe made the motion. So you should amend it to, and we will try to receive additional quotes in the next 48 hours. How's that?
Sure.
Okay. You sure? You
No,
can-
I'm
you
not
can-
sure,
you-
but I'm sure.
It's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen, sure.
I'm just wondering where we got the other door from, first of all.
you are. You're lucky you got the other door. It was special ordered.
It was special ordered, okay.
Yes, I do know
This
that.
must be a custom made door if we're getting it in a timely manner.
Yeah, yes, if I, from what I've heard from Bob and Dave, that door was special ordered, took months to get from WW.
That was not very cool.
See what you can do, I think.
Okay,
Did somebody second the amended motion?
Second, the amendment was first.
Right, so first you seconded the original, that's just second
Right.
amendment.
Right, all right, so. Are we ready to vote?
Yeah.
All in favor?
I,
Aye. All right, thank you, Travis.
yes, and sorry for springing it on you. I just wanted to make you guys aware of it, and that way we could get it taken care of, because the project is, it's ongoing.
I see that.
Let's get it done.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
So if he gets additional quotes, are you going to vote on this again?
I think he needs to weigh the quotes and the timeline. I haven't really heard what the timeline for this particular door is, so that kind of is, it's kind of like we don't have all the information. So we're trying to get a door that's the most cost effective in a reasonable amount of time. I think that's our goal.
and that has some longevity. built in.
Yes, and has some kind of longevity. Because honestly, this door has not been on the town hall that long. I was on the board when we got that door.
Been on
So,
the board a long time.
Not
Just
that
saying.
long.
not,
I don't remember dealing with the door. I've been on 9 years. So then, yeah, maybe.
yeah. Because Jeanette wasn't here when, yeah.
Yes, that's not that long.
Okay,
You've been
okay,
doing
okay,
this
enough.
since I
All
was younger.
right, thank you, Travis. I think you know our goal. Unfinished business. We have a clarification on North Branch invoices. I think that's coming from
Oh,
Marco.
Yeah, big stuff. So we get charged for sewer usage now. Going back to January, and at the time, we had a leak in the water line coming in, so the meter was registering that leak. So it was running. I have a report that goes back, I can't go back earlier than January 27th, but it looks like on January 28th, the problem was fixed because we were using about 1,900 gallons a day before the 8th of the 28th, and then we went down to about 12 gallons a day. So basically, the usage in this building is about 17 gallons a day. They acknowledged that because of the leak, we were incorrectly reporting to the North Branch, and that leak was not ending up in the North Branch. So we can go to them for an abatement for the amount that was overcharged. So I'm working on that now. I just need a letter from our plumber attesting to the fact that there was a leak, it was fixed, and that it wasn't going into the sewer system. So they have an abatement meeting next week. We'll put a letter in front of them
Okay,
and it should be resolved. So just so you know, we get about 17 to 18 gallons a day from this building into the North Branch.
so we'll probably be the minimum charge.
We'll probably be at the minimum charge.
Okay, okay.
So,
So I'm sure you guys can help with the letter so that the plumber.
yeah, Travis actually reached out to Lane Plumbing and they're supposed to be getting the letter back.
Great,
And
Yes,
Jeanette.
he had told me he hadn't heard back from them yet, but I will call them tomorrow.
And we don't have to go to the abatement hearing, we can just submit the letter and they'll review it and it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for getting to the bottom of that. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Okay, review the Snow Lake Dam grant. The dam grant. So Jeanette and I attended a meeting on Monday with the state, Wyndham Regional, and talking about the grant that we have been awarded and what's involved in administrating this grant, which is fairly involved because we are the applicant. So we are responsible for reporting. We have to follow our town procurement purchasing program. And so do you know, Jeanette, if Alyssa was able to speak to Brian at Mount Snow?
Yes, she
Okay.
did. She did speak with him. That was Monday. I think it was Monday afternoon, actually. And he is in favor of the project. He wants to move forward with it. He doesn't think there'll be any issues with the engineering firm as far as them not being able to bid on the project for the scoping study anyways.
So the engineering firm who prepared the grant application for us is now ineligible to bid on the grant, on the RFP for the dam scoping of the dam renewal grant, because it's federal money. And so they are ineligible. They could be eligible to come back to engineer the dam at some point if other grant money down the road is available. But in the long and short of it is there's a lot of accounting and reporting that's going to need to be done, and the town is going to be responsible for that. That means Jeanette is going to be responsible for that. Wyndham Regional, hold on, I'm just kind of summarizing all the information that we found. Wyndham Regional is willing to put together the RFP and support Jeanette in the ways they can. The state is also willing to help as much as possible. Wyndham Regional will charge a fee to do their administrative part of things, which include the RFP. There is administrative costs included in the grant application, and those can also be increased if it becomes that there's not enough. Yes. So we walked away going, wow, this is quite a thing. Wyndham Regional and the state both want this to go through, and it's very clear. They expressed their clear desire that we try to figure out how to continue with this grant so that the scoping study can be done, because Mount Snow has to remove that dam. And I think they want to kickstart it a little bit. So, okay, let's just have Jeanette weigh in on anything I might have missed from the Monday meeting.
Let's see. Yeah, so basically, because we are the applicant, even though it's Mount Snow's project, it had to come through the town in order to get any funding. Mount Snow could, if the town decides not to pursue this grant, Mount Snow could either fund it on their own and get it done that way. I don't believe they're eligible for other funding, just because of the entity of what they are. And so going forward with the RFP, everything would have to be, as Vicki said, with our procurement policy. We would need 3 bids, et cetera, to go. It's because it will most likely be over $10,000 for this project. What else?
Millions of dollars.
The grant
This
is for 70,000.
This is just for the scoping study. This is just an initial part. And as far as I understood, this, once we get this done, I think the town can be done with it.
We can, or we can potentially continue
Yes.
if there may be more grant money
As far as
available.
the implementation of
Right.
the project, Mount Snow can take that on its own. We would be, the only thing with the management costs and any other costs that we incur, will be reimbursed for, but we do have to send the invoices and obviously keep track of everything, which will be falling on my desk. And but they said usually by the end of each month that an invoice is submitted, that we would be receiving reimbursement back from the state. There's a quarterly reporting that has to go on. And then once the project is final and closed out, it's not something that we're gonna have to revisit. She said there would probably be one audit possibly, but down the road, we won't have to keep revisiting this, this grant.
Yeah, so that's the one thing, we are gonna have to float the invoices. If there's an extraordinarily high invoice, we can ask for it to be paid by them. But in general, it's gonna flow that we would pay and then get reimbursed. Joe,
So we had the engineering, so did we win the actual grant to do it? So the next step is this scoping thing. And Mount Snow has said that we'll get reimbursed, so once we do
no, Mount Snow, the state.
the state.
This is federal money. And so we won the grant, a grant for the scoping. That's all we have and it's us, it's not Mount Snow's, it's
Right.
ours. Because Mount Snow could have applied, but they thought Mount Snow had almost no chance of getting any money.
Right, and that's what the state reiterated, that
Mhm.
it would not have been available to them.
Yes.
So the state is the one that would be reimbursing us.
Mhm. Out of federal funds.
Yes, the
Oh.
Flood Resilient Communities Fund.
So we still haven't won the grant yet?
No,
Okay.
so we're at the point right now, no,
I'm
So,
just not- no, I-
the paperwork, which is this big thing that
Yeah,
Jeanette was
yeah,
filling
yeah.
out and saying, whoa, I'm not putting my name on this. We're at a point where we're close to a point, if we don't want to continue with this, we can say no. And that would be too bad to turn down the money because this dam has to go. So it's not like there's a lot of choice in it. And it's nice to, my question to Jeanette after our meeting was, this is gonna fall on you. Are you gonna be able to handle this? And yes, we can get reimbursement over time, but literally time is valuable and she's already very busy. So Jeanette mentioned that she'd be willing to, you're saying,
Yes,
Jeanette?
I think, just knowing that I have Wyndham Regional and the folks from the state to back me up on this and be a good resource. I think if you want to move forward with it, we can make it work.
But they're also willing to reimburse you for your hours of
Yes,
time
yeah,
back
I
to the
have to
town.
keep track.
She has to take
like,
meticulous
fees or,
notes, yes.
Like a lawyer.
Any time that I've spent, and I did that before for the FEMA thing,
Okay.
so it wasn't fun, but I did.
I mean, if we got it and we just have to, so once we get past this next hurdle, then do we have to deal with the actual construction side
We
of
do
it?
not. We
So this is
may
just the
choose
next-
to, or we may not choose to. But we can stop after this scoping study.
Yeah.
And a scoping study is not a long process. It's not gonna take years. They should be able to do. It's basically trying to figure out some basic engineering and to figure out what's gonna happen. So it could, they expect the whole project will take 18 months to 2 years at the
Oh.
most.
It's a couple $1 million project. though, to do what they're
No, but
doing.
just to do the scoping study
Yeah.
should be 60, it probably won't be implemented. They may not be able to do any actual work this summer.
Yeah. Well, we should have it wrapped up in like 6 months.
Once it actually gets started, yes.
Well,
So it's the board is gonna have to weigh in, maybe not tonight, maybe in 2 weeks because we have to do a sub-grant agreement right now, and that's the point. If you don't wanna do it, we can jump off and say no. But we wanted to make sure everybody was aware of what was going on.
yeah.
There's been a lot of conversation back and forth about this, so, Eric,
I'm happy to help with the reporting side of things. I mean, I'm coming out of the Elder and ARPA stuff where there's pretty stringent reporting requirements. So if Jeanette runs into a snag, I'm happy to hop in and help a little bit. I know it's not exclusively economic development, but I can provide some insight.
well, that's nice. Thank you, Eric. I know you're busy as well. But the state is very anxious that we try to move forward with this because they really want this scoping study done. So anyway, I don't think we have to make it, yes.
I'm new to hearing about this. So why are we doing this for Mount Snow? It's the dam that's right on the
It's Snow Lake.
Snow Lake on the south access road. right?
Yeah. Mount Snow approached us. There was grant money available. They have to remove this dam. We said, let's see if we get the grant. And so we worked with them, and their person developed the grant application, and we won. So now we're at the point where the dam needs to go, and the dam should have already gone. So that's the thing
That was
is,
always gone, but
it, huh?
that was always to be gone.
Yeah.
My whole time.
So we're trying to be good neighbors, where it shouldn't cost us extra money because Jeanette will be reimbursed. The earliest that this will probably kick in will be about 6 months between the time they get the RFP done, review the applicants, then town's gonna hire one of the firms, so it shouldn't fall on a bad time for our revenue. And look at Marco saying that. So
And the responsibility is being thrown onto the town.
the town applied for the grant. So the town, it's
So you accept
our
the
grant
Responsibility then.
to get a scoping study done. Yes, to hire somebody to do that with, yes.
And then who hires the workers to do all the work? That's no.
To do the scoping study or
Right.
remove the dam.
Have to remove the dam.
After the scoping study, Mount Snow can do it all on their own. There may be other federal grants available to the town, but we can stop. I mean, this can be the end of our involvement. Any other questions? So we think we'll probably have the sub-grant agreement available for the next meeting, so everybody can take a look at that, okay?
Well, I appreciate you guys bringing us up to, I read through it, but it's gotta.
And thank you, Jeanette, for,
Once again,
So basically,
step
you're
it
in
up.
favor of moving forward.
Oh.
Yes, do you want to make a motion to that, or just?
well, we'll have to approve the sub-grant agreement, I think, in 2 weeks. So I think that the straw poll right now is yes. And thank you, Jeanette.
Thank you.
Yes.
Remember me on that.
Well, it's right around the corner.
We'll
so,
remember,
yeah.
yeah.
Isn't that nice?
That's Friday morning.
Your timing is
Make
excellent.
sure you put your finger in the dam.
All right, moving on. Next item is discuss Ridge Trail project with SOVTA.
Well, you guys take it, is that your request for us to be here, so we'll let you guys leave.
Okay. I thought you guys wanted to give us an update. Oh, Eric.
So I would just, the original request was from the select board side as we were going, because what happened is that an application treating the parking lot at the Ridge Trail was submitted as a new project, and there was a question from the select board side to ask why it was being treated as a new project.
Oh,
Which
yes,
is
that's
how
correct.
initially it ended up on the agenda, so I believe that's what we're here to discuss.
Okay, so why is it being treated as a new project?
Because it's a new project. As far as the Ridge Trail project goes, in the town and so SOVTA's partnerships and working together, we've had conversations about this project and the partnerships that would be established for it to be successful moving forward. One of those included the parking lot. Up until this point in time, we haven't had any need to make any like official statement and declaration on if the town is officially certifying that the land can be used for the project, be used for the parking lot, and any potential construction that would be happening on town land, who would pay for that and how that goes, which was a part of the application process. We come to this need now because the US Forest Service, as far as the project portion that we're in, is asking us for information that tells us that we have access to a parking lot, the guaranteed size, traffic mitigation plans for in the event that there's maybe more users in the area than we anticipated, and what kind of other resources we would have available to mitigate those concerns. So in that official process with USFS, we are now establishing the new project with the town. And we felt it was appropriate to create the new project proposal application as the Economic Development Trails Committee had established. So we're essentially the first group to put in a project. We felt that this was the appropriate project to move forward with. And so we're now here to ask, to have that conversation about the lot for the bridge trail. For
The parking lot
Yeah.
that the town originally was gonna build themselves.
We had conversations that were like earmarked, which was about the town saying like, yeah, we support the idea of using that for a parking lot. And we've had those like unofficial conversations back and forth, but there was never like an official written like, yep, here's the approval. So we're working through that process now.
Eric?
They're actually, so prior to 2019, correct, Andy, the original parking lot agreement with the USFS?
Yeah, the parking has been the town of Dover creating the parking has been a part of the project for many years, yes.
So, I mean, if you look online at this point, you know, in the USFS documents concerning the project, I mean, it very clearly states the town of Dover would be responsible fiscally for the creation of this parking lot. And also prior to this portion of the conversation, you know, we've already paid money to have easements drawn up for the land on either side of the right of way that we have, you know, our ownership of. And we've also paid for the preliminary engineering and drawings for said parking lot at the property. So I guess that's where the confusion, I think, is coming in as to whether or not, like, this portion of the work has already been done. So, you know, from our side, it doesn't seem, I guess, as a new project when all of those discussions have been had. I mean, we wouldn't have spent that money just to spend the money. You know, we did that with the intention that we would be moving forward with the part, at least at minimum, the parking lot portion of the bridge project.
And we're not opposed to that happening at all. We were just asked to, because of the project proposal, doing the official application that the town's created as far as the economic development. That was just an element of what we found in doing the application is there's a question in there regarding permitting, payment, plans and execution that we think is premature in the first initial stage conversations, because if you were to come to the town to say, hey, we have an idea on implementing a project on your property, you would then have multiple conversations around, okay, here's what the estimated costs are, that the town might assume estimated costs are, the organization that's requesting that might assume, and then you have the conversations on who might pay for that. And then that kind of clarifies like, okay, now we go into the stage 2 of an application where it says like, we're going to agree to these terms. You know, the town's going to provide X and the organization's going to provide Z. So in the application, we just said, hey, we're not sure how to answer this portion.
Okay.
But you know, we're ready to move forward.
Another way to say the same thing. The United States Forest Service, throughout the state, similar type projects, we take this ridge project as a whole, okay? They work with Catamount Trail Association, Vermont Mountain Bike Association. So they are working with us, okay? We are their partner, and the town of Dover is partnering with the idea of this parking lot. So we completely understand that there's been work done. We certainly don't want to spend any more of the town's money. By the way, we're not asking for money. We're funded via block grant writing, but on this particular project, the work's been done. So we totally get that. In the eyes of the United States Forest Service, when we're talking to their head rangers, they know that there's something that happened with the town of Dover, but they haven't approved it. They don't know if this is the right parking lot. They may want to have a parking lot put on their land. They don't know if it's feasible, if there's going to be enough spots, okay? So what we're trying to do is kind of start from the very beginning so that we can go back to the United States Forest Service, say, look, we've crossed every T, dotted every I. We think this is a good plan. Town of Dover is willing to pay for this. even though there's not enough spots, you know, Eric and I, we spoke and all of us together, we spoke about maybe having some busing from a main lot in town. We do think this is gonna be a large project, with a lot of usage. You know, something to compare it to would be Brandon's Gap up north a little bit. They're overflowing, I think it's an 80-person parking lot. And this is where the sport's growing. You're not gonna see any more people that can fit in the parking lot at Mount Snow. The human powered backcountry really is what's evolving. It's a different visitor. You know, these visitors are probably coming more within an hour. They're not eating at the mountain, they're using the town. And, but in the eyes of the United States Forest Service, thus as their partner, they're just like, no, this isn't a definite yet. That this parking lot that Dover's gonna pay for. So it's very still in the exploratory stage. And, you know, I see a lot of faces and very happy to.
I'm gonna shoot right back because
Yeah.
we worked with the Forest Service. They wanted the parking by the road. They didn't want to go up into that area, right? Andy, wasn't that, we went through this already.
And this might be prior to us.
So you're saying now we're gonna start all over?
No, well, what we're saying, Joe, is that as far as the US Forest Service project proposal pieces go, where we sat in that initial portion were conversations. It wasn't a execution of a go-ahead. We didn't have the full research and projects done and all the execution of the trails of that trail network completed, which would then tell you to continue to execute on the parking lot. You wouldn't build a parking lot prior to knowing that the trail system is going to get a full approval. While it got through the IRP, it didn't have full official go-ahead construction approval. And until that phase happens, I wouldn't say that building the parking lot or having done any of the construction would have been appropriate. And to our knowledge, we didn't know that that engineering or construction work was done as far as Southern Rock Trail Association.
Andy, because you guys are, in my opinion, new to the game coming in with this, because we worked with the US Forest Service. That was gonna be the best thing. We got the easement. I'm very, very confused that they're coming in with a bigger, starting a whole new thing. So I'm a little, like, are we going backwards
It
or
is
forwards?
confusing, Joe. It is confusing.
Why do we even?
The project, you know, has been in process for many years, right? So
Years.
and like Tommy said, the human powered skiing thing is exploding right now, right? So the scene is changing, okay? It's seeing a lot more use than it did when we worked with the Forest Service on this park. Okay, the Forest Service requested 13 spaces, we gave them 13 spaces. That's what they requested from us. That's what we negotiated with the landowners and provided. Originally, the project had an 800-foot access road on National Forest land to a parking area up behind the neighbors, so we didn't require easements and could easily expand. The neighbors were very, you know, against that. They did not want to see that. We negotiated with them and we created a parking area on Handle Road, the Forest Service and the town, okay? For the number of spaces the Forest Service requested, based on whatever they were figuring and envisioned. Now, Brandon Gap is a similar project. Maybe not completely analogous, okay? It doesn't have Mount Snow right next door. It's quite possible that this parking lot won't see the use that Brandon Gap does because of that. But anyways.
Plus, we already have a mover
Regardless.
service. We have a mover service that goes to Kingswood.
Right, regardless, they have legitimate concerns in my opinion. You know, the recreation specialist has legitimate concerns. She sees, you know, parking being an issue at other places and wants to get ahead of that. The situation SOVTA is describing, I think, would best be handled if Eric and myself met with the Forest Service at a meeting. We all agreed, SOVTA and Eric and myself and the Forest Service, at the suggestion of the Forest Service, that we have quarterly meetings through this process, that we were partners and we would meet quarterly to discuss these things. I think that would eliminate a lot of conversation because the town of Dover could actually speak with the Forest Service. That's my take on where we're at.
Okay.
I would like to clarify, Joe, that the United States Forest Service has worked with the Southern Vermont Trails Association since the beginning of this project. The Southern Vermont Trails Association started as a group that organized out of what was initially what was called DART. And one of the major reasons that we started the organization in terms of this project was because the US Forest Service requests to work with partnering organizations that are not municipalities, and that have the support from larger organizations that work within their lands, such as the Catamount Trails Association and Vermont Mountain Bike Association. So by creating the Southern Vermont Trails Association, we were able to establish that partnership with the USFS to create those backings with those greater organizations, which they work with in those landowner agreements. With all due respect, we do think that there's some confusion here in some of how the Southern Vermont Trail Association and how I'll use the town were communicating with the USFS with a specific individual. And we've had some challenges with that, but the organization here is not wishing to disclose those interpersonal challenges because we think that it puts a public employee or officer at a disadvantage.
Isn't this what you, I thought I read something that, are you reading from what you sent to us?
I'm not reading from what I sent to you, but we do feel that it potentially puts a public employee at a disadvantage, which could include a disciplinary action. We don't think that there's any foul intent, but our organization here is not wishing to speak and make accusations against somebody in a public setting where it could put them in a disadvantage. We think that there's conversations that do need to be had, we did disclose in our letter to the select board. But we believe that based on VSA 313.4, which states that a disciplinary or dismissal action against a public officer or employee, which would place them in a substantial disadvantage, which is also 313.1B, after making a specific finding that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body or person involved at a substantial disadvantage. B, which is labor relations agreement with employee, would authorize us to make a request to the select board to take this conversation to executive session.
What?
We're basically, Vicky, what we are saying is that we think that the conversation that needs to be had places one of the public employees in town in an unfair position to have in a public meeting.
So you're trying to
we're
protect our
requesting-
employee, I see what you're saying.
We're requesting that the conversation.
I
regarding this
cannot,
element go
we're
to
not
executive
going
session.
behind. I feel that this board has not been briefed on this in so long. We're not going behind closed doors to do that.
I
Sorry.
believe that mistake is of your economic development director not updating you, because as far as the procedures that you've put in place, the Southern Vermont Trails Association has been coming to the Trails and Rec Committee meetings and updating as far as these procedures. We have had numerous meetings and conversations with Eric, and we've tracked those. So we believe that the conversations and this updates that you have are completely between you and the Economic Development Department, not us.
So I've been watching all of the trails meetings. So have I missed something? I mean, I'm watching them. I know Sarah's attending them. I don't know about the rest of the board, but so what am I missing? I'm okay, Eric?
The two meetings that I have had since coming on regarding this project, the first one was myself, Andy, who's been obviously the town representative on this project
From the
15
inception.
years at this point.
Yes.
And Tommy, who's the vice president of SOVTA, and Tim, who's the president of SOVTA. I don't believe Steve was at our first meeting. I think it was just the four of us. So that meeting was
just the board.
Yep, so that meeting was literally to discuss the roles and so the USFS was at that meeting as well. To kind of work through what the roles were as they pertain to this project. At that meeting, a decision was made that we would move forward with the original understanding that we are three equal partners. And at that time, it was agreed upon that we would have quarterly meetings to discuss things, and that in order to streamline the process, Tommy, again, Vice President of SOVTA, would be the point of contact for the United States Forest Service, so that it wasn't 5 or 6 of us reaching out directly to the United States Forest Service. That was the gist of our first meeting, that all was agreed upon. In the interim, there was a meeting between United States Forest Service, Tommy Oakley and Steve Petrick, discussing many of the topics, regarding the project. After that, myself, Andy, and Tommy had a meeting to discuss what work had already been done on the parking lot as it pertained to the questions that were asked in the meeting that we were not involved in. So I don't know what other updates besides what was at Trails and Rec there would be to give.
As far as just move very high level, because we want to move this forward we have a couple paths, right? And this is kind of the understanding. So Andy, myself, Tim, Forest Ranger, we had a meeting. So what we needed to figure out is, where's the ownership, right? Obviously, near and dear to Andy's heart for a very long time, okay? We want to see this happen for the town, for everything. But who's going to take ownership? Who does the United States Forest Service want to work with? So that's what we wanted to hear. So the United States Forest Service, they don't really want to work with the municipality. Okay, they want to work with an organization that does this, has all the resources. We decided at that meeting we were going to be partners, okay, on the parking lot. Okay, because that was something that the town had already placed money into. So yes, we had a meeting with the United States Forest Service to talk about the entire project. What came out of that was, this whole thing starts with the parking lot. What's that parking lot going to be? Is the one that, the town will support you guys on? Is that going to be good enough, or is it not? Right? Let's go have a conversation. Let's see what that parking lot looks like. Going forward after the parking lot, this is federal land, right? I don't know how much the town wants to really have involvement in it. We are willing, local people, Dover residents, we did the town forest, we have a large project going on in Stratton right now. We are willing to do all of this and take it off your plate, and if we request, which we're not even asking for this parking lot, we're not asking for money, it could be an amazing gift, don't get me wrong. But if maybe we have a request for some funding, we come, we ask for it, we go through the right channels, but we can take this away. And we can work on this project with the United States Forest Service. So yes, there's been back and forth. Andy doesn't want to relinquish it. I understand why he wouldn't want it, but he's a town employee. He was a part of our organization. He did wonderful work for us. We went our separate ways at the moment. Is that really going to work? Is it not? We don't think so. We think with our backing from one of the largest organizations in the state, I'm sorry I keep repeating them, Catamount Trail Association, but that is the premier trail building organization in the state, and the Vermont Mountain Bike Association. Okay, they're right now building a trail the length of the state, the Belmont. They've couple $2 million. So I mean, it's there, and we can do it. So we've just been a little, we're probably now 2 years out, quite frankly, from even putting a shovel in the ground. Very frustrating to everybody, but just want to kind of explain a little bit what we're trying to do.
And to clarify, as the Ridge project as a whole is established, the leader and the organizational partner for that project is Southern Vermont Trails Association. We've always had a close-knit partnership with the town of Dover in executing this project because it aligns so closely with the Trails and Rec plan that was created in the master plan. And that one of the major elements that we've had is that parking lot that we've talked about. But in our meeting with the Forest Service, we did discuss that we would have that three-way partnership for the parking lot. And that to help streamline is that Tom would take lead in having some of those conversations, but then making sure that all parties were updated and involved as we went through. So where we're lacking in this element of understanding is that it's clear to us now that the town has done some direct conversation with US Forest Service at some point in time in the past, and has spent money and done engineering project work for a parking lot. Southern Vermont Trail Association, working with the Forest Service, is at a part in time where we're still continuing to have the conversations regarding the parking lot and what it would look like as a whole to completely meet the needs of the established entire network of trails. Which then brings us to the Southern Vermont Trail Association asking the town of Dover to officially create the project request so we can put it on paper, so we can have some commitment to this conversation in part of our new official process. So we're in this triangular element here, that's a little bit confusing.
Yeah, it is, and the timeline is really confusing for me because we were talking with the Forest Service about this well before the master plan was put together. So I'm confused about something you just said, because this conversation had been going on before we got a master plan, so.
You'll find that with a lot of our projects, the Southern Vermont Trail Association right now, is that uniquely, there were a lot of projects like Forest Hill and the Ridge Trail, which got started under the select board initially when we had Josh as the chair.
Forest Hill is our project, it's
Totally
Town of
understood.
Dover's property.
No, absolutely, totally understood, but when the initial request for the purchase of that property was established, we had Josh Cohen as the chair. And the Southern Vermont Trail Association was very involved in working with the Trails Committee and helping establish the plan to come up with this project in this area. And at one of these select board meetings, when we did acquire the land, we said, this town really needs to see.
Acquire the land?
Well, the town acquired the land, yeah, I'm speaking as we as in the public, acquire the land. The select board then said, you know what this town wants to see is they want to see action, not just plans. And that's a big problem this town's always had, is that we bought things, but we haven't acted on it, we made a bunch of plans. So I think Sarah, it might have been you that made the request to us is, let's go ahead and put in this idea of the base loop, a winter recreational trail that shows that this project area has a future in success. In that
I would just
time,
like to clarify, I did not make that request to SOVTA. I made that request to the Trails Committee.
Trails Committee, sure.
Not to your organization.
Sure, then the Trails Committee had established that Southern Vermont Trail Association would volunteer to do that work. And so that connection was made, yeah, absolutely. But to be clear is that happened prior to or during the Weston and Sampson project planning, which we have volunteered a lot of our own time and research and studies in to help execute that plan. Once that plan came into place and we had a new economic development director, that's when the partnership with Southern Vermont Trail Association really started to fall apart with the town. Because the town started to claim ownership of all the projects and plans and started to say that there were elements going on that we weren't being clear in communicating with, which, yes, that's how our same reaction was as well, Vicky. Is the same thing. So it's been very unclear, but we've been here as a partner for the whole thing. But we're starting to find some elements that are getting very messy with the town saying that they own it, they're running it. And the town saying they're owning and running the Ridge Trail project is a large claim that we don't think is beneficial to the
Okay.
town.
I hear what you're saying, but honestly, that we supported that Ridge Trail project. I didn't know anything about SOVTA in it. There was no discussion about it when the original project was presented to this board, and I was on that board, and it was an idea that was revolutionary, that the town was going to partner with the Forest Service. It was a revolutionary idea, and I remember that distinctly. So I'm confused, and I also feel you may feel friction. We aren't getting updates. We don't know what's going on. It's really, and honestly, this discussion should have been had a long time ago. Okay, hold on. Now Eric's had his hand up multiple
I
times.
would just like to clarify that in no way, shape, or form are we trying to take ownership of any projects. What we're trying to do is establish a groundwork of transparency and process so that we make sure every other department in this town is responsible over a certain dollar amount to put a project or bid out to RFP or RFQ. We feel that we should be held to no different standard, especially when it comes to these projects. What we're trying to do is ensure that there's an open and public process as to who gets the money to complete projects. I'm not saying that any one group or organization cannot then apply to said RFP to move the projects forward, but I don't think it's in my mind, it's not right to hand all of the money to one group or organization for all of the projects or bids.
And respectfully, I think that there is just a genuine misunderstanding for the Ridge Trail project on how it was presented as a partnership with the town. Because from our understanding, it was a partnership with the organization and it was mutually beneficial with the town and the organization to work
What year
together.
were you guys incorporated as a official
When did
group?
OBTA come to existence?
Yeah, when did you guys,
As a subject.
I have to pull our records up, but it's been at least 3 to 4 years, yeah, at this point. So ultimately, we think that there's been some misclear elements, but what we are saying is that we understand the town's position and how they need to follow through due procedure and process, and we support that. We've supported the process, that's why we submitted the application. We do think that there's definitely been some miscommunication or the lack of communication, and we believe that's happened numerous times. We're willing and interested to move forward. It's part of the reason why we had a challenging conversation over the winter about having open conversations about moving projects forward and working with partnerships, because we placed names on applications and Act 250 permits and jurisdictional opinions that place us at responsibility as well. We want to make sure that both parties are supported and feel comfortable. So at this point, we're trying to clarify how this project moves forward. If the town thinks that it's their need or responsibility to lead on the Ridge Trail project, they can do that. But the taxpayers should know that that's $500,000. That's a $500,000 potential project that is coming through potential 1% money that the town's essentially saying they're going to spend, which our organization has the resources to get through public funding for that project. The one critical element for this Ridge Trail project success, which does lie a little bit with the town of Dover, is this parking lot makes a lot of sense on the town of Dover's land. If it's not able to be done on the town of Dover's land, then we would have to look at alternative options, but they don't look like they're very good viable options that would support continuing this project. So we're willing to continue the conversations and how they move forward, but we want to make sure that we move forward. Otherwise, we do have other projects and priorities that we can put our time on, and we totally can back off on this project and let the town do it, but we don't think that that's a good plan for the town, the taxpayer dollars, and a partnership moving forward.
hold on, we got a lot of other hands up already. I think Sarah first.
Okay, so, I'm wondering why we can't have a public meeting with SOVTA, the select board, USFS, and have everything brought out, everybody be on the same page at the same time, have that conversation. So we then are moving forward with everybody on the same page in terms of understanding. So I would like to arrange a time for the USFS people to come to a select board meeting.
Even the Zoom, right?
Even Zoom, if they can't make it here, to have that conversation. Second, I think one of the things that came to my mind anyway, after we worked so hard on putting those application forms together, is we never put a line item in there that specifically said, all of these things have to go out for an RFP, that there are budgetary obligations that we have in terms of spending the money. So just because an organization completes an application does not give them ownership of the project.
And we never requested for it.
Well, but it doesn't come through that way. Okay, that's not how it comes through. So what I'm saying is, it shouldn't matter whose idea it is, because ultimately these 5 people have to make the decision about how that money gets spent. And our obligation is to make sure we spend it the best way possible. And if that means using our town highway department to construct things, because that's the most cost-effective way to do it, and we know it'll be done to whatever the state standards are, that's great. But it is kind of coming across with the parking lot project as though SOVTA is saying that they own it and that you will be constructing it.
No, to be clear is that the Ridge Trail project as a whole, the whole project element of all of that with the US Forest Service, that is what we have an agreement with the Forest Service with. We are working to connect one small piece of property which directly connects with the town of Dover. We have not requested for the town of Dover to supply any funding or money towards any elements of the recreational trails project that exists on USFS land. There was never a claim or a statement of that. Where we lie specifically is on the Dover land, which is the parking lot project, which is connected to that to establish that connection. So we did have those meetings. with the Forest Service. We've had further continuing meetings. If we need to have them with the select board as a public meeting, we would support that. But we did have those with the economic development director. I'm not sure how the official process works within a department employee communicating back to the select board.
Hold on.
I guess my question, other than funding this parking lot, okay? Like, I mean, there's an understanding of the entire, or maybe there's not, maybe that's a good place to start, of what the entire project is. I don't know why a municipality would want to manage that. There's gonna be the ongoing trail maintenance every year. And our organization carries the insurance, so we insure just like we insure other trails. So again, I guess I'm just at a disconnect, other than the parking lot, why the town would even want to move forward with the rest of the project.
Now, Joe.
So you're throwing numbers out at us that you have the money in place and this project will go forward. You can get the grant money that the town of Dover, that's not gonna stall if we were to say, just give it to you guys and go with it. You'll never ask us for money, is what you're saying. And the project will go. I don't speak. All I want to know is that you have guaranteed funds to get the parking lot done and that this is done, or we're going through a whole nother process to try and find money. That's all it's a yes or no
So
answer.
when I stated the money, I'm talking about for the project, for the parking lot, yeah, we could, whether we wanna find money to put it there, or possibly we might
So there-
then explore to put it on the United States Forest Service.
So there's money already earmarked, hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's
No.
what I just heard from Tim. He said $500,000.
Joe, I said that the trails
Hold on.
project could cost in construction elements of the whole project on Forest Service land up to $500,000 or more. It's a element idea of all the mileage on trails and a rough estimate.
I heard that, and he said that there would be opportunities to get funding.
So we couldn't get that same funding if we kept going with the project, is what you're saying?
I'm saying that we have private donors that have invested. We have now secured over what is $150,000 in private funding as an organization in the last 6 months to do projects that are no longer now in the town of Dover because we've executed projects within the town of Stratford. Okay, we have received a lot of funding. We are continuing to access funding to execute trails projects. So in that conversation, if the town of Dover were to have a conversation with us about saying, yes, the land is available to be used, but we don't want to put money into building a lot, our organization would go and find the money to build it. If the town of Dover felt that it wanted to support the organization by building and funding that parking lot and constructing it, that would be a gracious gift for that we would be able to use the money to execute other portions of the project. That's what we're clarifying.
What else does anybody want to say about this?
I'm too.
Paul, you haven't spoken. Yeah, Paul.
So-
Quick point of order, yes. So I thought, and maybe Jeanette can look back in her notes, I thought what I heard was one of them said there was $500,000 in grant money, I think they said from the state, with the innuendo that it could only go to SOVTA or Catamount as opposed to the town, as opposed to a budgetary
That's not
number of
correct.
$500,000.
That is not correct.
What you just said.
We said
Use
that
number-
if
you
the
just-
town,
Whoa, okay, enough, stop. I don't want to use this. This is insane. Okay. I heard it as it's a potential price tag of $500,000. That's what I heard. Okay,
Fair enough.
okay, and I heard there could be funding available, but I don't know. So,
Thank
It's
you.
on the tape.
so you're good.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody who hasn't said anything? Chris?
This is the first time I hear anything about this. So you basically need a parking lot. You want to take over the parking lot, you have a parking lot.
We don't have,
No.
we have a small piece of
You have
property.
land, that's true, that will be a parking lot.
That could be.
And the question is, will the forest department approve of a 13-slot parking lot,
We already have.
right?
Correct.
So we don't even know if
No.
your land is big enough for what they want now after COVID. When COVID come, everybody's out in the woods. So your piece of property may not even be suitable anymore for what they need.
Correct.
So that's the first step, is to find out is it any good anymore? And if it is good, and if they can jump on it, let them do the work, you know, sell it to them or whatever, I don't know, whatever. The thing is, because there's only a parking lot, it's like, there's no,
Agreed, but
and you could have, you know.
yeah, I hear you. Okay,
So that's
and
thinking
Andy,
to both sides, that's what I
Yeah.
think.
So I think, you know, specifically where we're at right now is we're sort of stalled. We were supposed to have a meeting with the Forest Service towards the end of February. It was to have been a quarterly meeting of SOVTA, the town and the Forest Service. At our last meeting with the Forest Service, SOVTA was present, myself and Eric, and the Forest Service. And that meeting was basically SOVTA and the town asking the Forest Service, what are our responsibilities and roles here? These issues had come up between SOVTA and the town. And SOVTA and the town got together before the meeting and we said, all right, we're gonna lay this in front of the Forest Service. Do you want SOVTA to be in charge of the project? Dover's simply a possible funder of the project. The town has no communication with the Forest Service. We get updated by SOVTA when they feel it's appropriate. Or National Forest Service, should this be, as the town would like it, a partnership of us three entities where we all meet together, make decisions together, and communicate, copy each other on emails. And the US Forest Service representative suggested, okay, so we're not going to do either one of those things. We're not going to put SOVTA in charge of the project, and we're not going to keep the town on a daily email CC list either. We're going to make Tom Oakley from SOVTA the point person for the day-to-day things the Forest Service needs to accomplish on this project. But Town of Dover, you're a partner, and what we need to do for you is we need to have quarterly meetings where you're present so you can be involved in the decision making. They were unaware that we hadn't decided that SOVTA would be constructing trails. That was news to the National Forest Service. And so the compromise was quarterly meetings involving the town and SOVTA. There would be a cloud-based document dump where we could all put information, written information and plans, and be accessible to all three partners. And SOVTA said, yeah, that's a good plan. Town said, yeah, that's a good compromise. Probably not what either one of us wanted exactly, but it's a compromise. Let's move forward. February comes and goes, and we have a meeting with SOVTA. They wanted some information from us regarding the parking area, and we wanted that quarterly meeting. It should have happened at the end of February. This meeting was probably in March, towards the end of March. And the town, we were feeling, okay, SOVTA is the point people, they're gonna set up the meeting. SOVTA has not set up the meeting. It's no longer a quarterly meeting if it was supposed to happen in February. We're waiting, the town, we have things we'd like to communicate with the Forest Service about to move forward as a partner with SOVTA on this project. It's to the point now where probably the town needs to contact the Forest Service and just say, hey, let's set up that quarterly meeting that we all agreed to. You know, let's get that cloud-based document dump going. Let's talk about these issues that we're having with the parking area, with who's going to build trails, with who's going to pay for things. Let's talk about this and make some decisions. But I think the first step is to have that quarterly meeting. And I think that was a good model. I think it was a good compromise. And I think that we can make that work. I don't think that putting this under the recently adopted protocols that the Trails Committee created. I don't think that was created for a project like this. That is for people coming to the town with a project, probably on town land or using town money. Hey, and this is how we're gonna regulate these ideas that people bring to the town. This is different. This is a partnership between us and the Forest Service and SOVTA. And I think the compromise that the Forest Service suggested at our last meeting, being quarterly meetings, cloud-based document dump, and that we are partners regarding funding and how these things play out. I think that's the next step. And I would like us to take that step.
Yes,
I have two questions for the select board, and I'd like to request follow-up time just after. The first question is, to what role does Andy McLean play in making commitments from the town of Dover to the US Forest Service as far as an official representative of the town?
well, in my mind, Andy has always been the official representative with the Forest Service on this particular project because Andy brought it to us. So Andy has been our point person. We, from the beginning, had Andy as our point person.
Okay, when has Andy McLean come to you?
Point of order.
To,
Point of order. You weren't recognized by the chair. I'd like to respond.
Thank you, Andy.
So
Southern Vermont Trail Association will be leaving this meeting.
Sorry to see you go.
Unfortunately, what we have found is that your economic development director, in that second question I asked to follow up with, is that. he
Excuse
probably
me,
has not notified
excuse me,
you.
you're out of order, please,
I
you
understand.
may leave now. Thank you.
I'll wait for order to make one
Okay.
last statement.
Andy,
So-
continue.
Tim, I can't make any commitments to the National Forest Service.
You as a representative of the town.
Point of order. Please, Tim, there are rules and it helps us to be civil to each other. It does. It really does. And it's difficult. It's not like sitting around the campfire. And I understand that if you're not used to interacting in that way, it's difficult. I get it, but it helps us. It really will, and it will help you. I get to listen to you and not interrupt you. So basically, I can't make any commitments to the National Forest Service. These folks can, okay? To some extent, they can give that authority to Eric, you know, but I have no authority there. Now, what I do provide is information so that Eric can make good decisions and the select board can make good decisions. I have information and knowledge of this project from 15 years of putting it together with the National Forest Service that's invaluable, in my opinion. And in order for it to work well and to be a good project. Now, you know, am I irreplaceable? Absolutely not. If I am no longer a part of this project, if it's decided by these folks that, you know, my presence isn't productive anymore, fine, I'll step down and I'm not irreplaceable. But I do have valuable things to add. And I do have a valuable perspective. And one of the things I can provide is an accountability where Southern Vermont Trails Association is concerned. These folks don't know much about the project, you know. You folks know a good deal about it. I know as much as you do, if not more. And I think that's a valuable service.
Yes.
I'd like to follow up on my two questions in time that I requested as a point of order. Has your economic development director disclosed to this select board that the Southern Vermont Trails Association has requested that Andy McLean no longer be a part of the conversations with the US Forest Service due to misconduct during those meetings and not progressing the conversations which were being had? And that he also was making claims and statements as far as what the town was saying that they would do without the backing of their own select board.
Can
been
you
informed?
substantiate what you just said?
Yes, Andy McLean has Andy McLean come to you and requested for the earmarking of $50,000 to a parking lot in an official public meeting? Did he, yes or no?
We have always said that we would pay with Eric up to $100,000 utilizing our Dover highway to put in that parking lot. We went through the process of doing the easement. We are totally committed. As soon as you tell us the shovel ready, and I'm sure all 5 of us right here will say, Travis, when can you get the equipment up there and get it done? Are we all on board with that parking lot?
Yeah.
We've worked on it for years, Tim. So, port of order, don't give me all these remarks. So yes, Andy, as a representative for the 5 of us here, knew exactly what he was saying. And he does not go and do something outside of that. So there's your first answer. What is your next question?
My second question was, has your economic development director informed you that the Southern Vermont Trails Association had requested that Andy no longer be a part of the conversations that we were having with the US Forest Service because we were not having progress within those questions because he was continuing to bring up other elements which were not current and important to those conversations? Did he inform you of that information?
Did Eric inform us about Andy?
Correct, about us requesting for him no longer to have that, because Eric, who's the economic development director, under our understanding, was the person who was the point person to making these decisions for economic development. Did he update the select board?
Sarah?
Multiple months ago, I believe it was over the winter actually, I received an email request that I be looped in on any communication between you and Eric. I've only gotten about 4 emails. So if this was an issue, why was it not brought to my attention? No, because if it was communicated to him by email, I should have been copied on that. Why did I not see an email?
Why is this so territorial? I feel like I'm talking, unfortunately, with a bunch of kids in a sandbox who can't share the trucks. And I am really getting ticked off. This conversation is ending at 8 o'clock. There is no more of this tonight. This is ridiculous. We all want a good project. We are willing to support it, but we want to be a partner. So we need communication and we need to get along. If we can't get along, we're going to have to figure out other way to accomplish this. Maybe we all go away and US Forest Service finds new partners. I don't know, but I am furious right now that we are acting so juvenile about this, because why is it everybody is so territorial about this? We want to work together on a common project that everybody wants.
We agree. We wonder the same. We
Tom
agree.
had his hand up.
Just real quick,
Hold on.
you made a lot of good points, kind of like, all right, I haven't heard anything about this a year and a half, right? What the hell's going on? And it's really just been, unfortunately, as you said, it's like, who's gonna do it? And I don't think it's all about territory. I think some of us, like for me, I have a very strong opinion that this does not get done unless the Catamount Trail Association is involved. It's a big project. I mean, the Ridge Trails, it's a big project. So I just don't think this gets done 50-50 partners with the town, plain and simple. And for the past year and a half, again, I think Andy's got all the greatest intentions in the world. We've just been butt heads. I mean, and Eric's been sitting in the meeting, he's been frustrated, I'm not really sure where he goes, but that's all we've been, for the year and a half, we've been fighting about. Okay, are we can we start rolling with this thing and move, or can we not? And then Andy's correct. We had an agreement. Okay, I see it a little bit differently than he did. They declared us point. I thought we were gonna keep them involved, absolutely, keep the town involved. Quarterly meetings we agreed on, and Andy and I went back and forth about this one. There was nothing to report on. There was no need to have a quarterly meeting. We didn't get anywhere. So we finally had this large, all-encompassing meeting, okay? Where do we start? Parking lot. I went to Eric, said, Eric, I need the documents for the parking lot, okay? We're gonna get them to town, and then we're gonna have a meeting with me, Tim, Andy, and you, Eric. Eric said, great, I'm gonna get you those. Day later, Eric calls me, a lot of phone calls between Eric and I too, okay, which I guess I should stop. Day later, Eric calls me, he says, hey, Tom, I gotta bring Andy in that meeting. He kind of has everything, he's the one close to this. So, all right, now we lose time. But that's kind of, I go to Eric, I need a document. Andy's got the document, Tom, even though he told me 2 days prior that he was gonna get me the document. It's not his fault, but that's where we are. That's what's been going on. I'm dying to move forward. I mean, I'd love to, because I just want to walk off it. This is volunteer time. I'm not making money off this. I got 4 kids in a job, and I'd love to see this thing done. And I think we can do it. We live here. We run youth programs in the town. We're good guys. We're doing everything we can. I mean, we'd like to just continue to do projects, but I don't think this will work if for this entire project, the grading of the ski trails, the hiking trails, I mean, we're even talking about flying wood up the top where it's swamp to have a bridge. Can we wrap this into the Velamont Trail, which is gonna go the whole length? There is, you quote me on this, there is $1 million worth of funding for that, if we could incorporate it. So, you know, we're there. We talk to the United States Forest Service constantly, not because of this, but because we're part of 2 other organizations that are dealing with them on a handful of projects throughout the state. So, I mean, everyone in this room wants the same thing, the greater thing for the town, for the area, so forth and so on. I'll get off my soapbox, but that's where it's been, you know, that's my feelings.
Okay, hold on. Jim McDevitt has not said anything, so he gets
dibs.
I find it particularly offensive that these 2 groups are requesting that the town remove probably the best resource we have for this project. Who's, like, looking around, I don't know anybody knows any more of the ins or outs of what's going on with that. And I think it's just to come here and request that, you know, without going to you people first and say, hey, this is our issues, and just bring this up in a public forum, just absolutely disgraceful on their part.
Well, they did ask for executive session. They did, and I said no, because, you know, they did ask, but there was no way that it was, you know, we hadn't heard anything about this project. So for it to go into executive session, it just didn't make any sense whatsoever. Hold on, Eric.
I would just like to reiterate at a public meeting that I would really appreciate any and all correspondences between myself, Andy, SOVTA, the select board, with anything to do with this project, be in writing via email. The he said throughout this process has really, it's muddied the water, it's led to misunderstandings on all fronts. And I'm at the point now where when there's threats being levied against positions and whatnot, I feel that it's my right to protect myself and ask that those communications be provided in writing from here on out, because I will not stand behind a he said public comment.
Okay. Chris, we have literally 1 minute.
Okay, so my understanding is the town's only going to be doing the parking lot. That's it, right?
Well, at this point, because we're now not,
Okay, so
not to we didn't jump off, we are off now. And I'm not sure how we got off, but we didn't jump off. So now we see a lot of this information is just information that we're getting now. So
I you know, no commitment to either, but
yeah,
it's like, they just want paperwork of the parking lot that you would give to this Forest Service. Then after that, Dover is completely out of the picture, and then they do the trail, right? Because all this other stuff is kiddie stuff. So it's like, okay, the problem is, we need the parking lot, we need paperwork for the parking lot, give them the paperwork for the parking lot. Then they can go follow up with the forest. It's the same people you're dealing with in Stratton, forest people?
No, that's not town Stratton. Town forest.
Okay. So it's a different animal, but anyway, that's probably worse than the federal government. So it just seems like the whole problem is it's just getting these guys the paperwork for the parking lot. And then the state will say either yes, this is adequate, and they'll say no, and if they say no, then there's no more problem. Next problem is to find out where we find a bigger parking lot.
okay. One last question, because now we're after 8 o'clock. One last comment. That's it.
Respectfully, thank you for your time, and I apologize for the misconduct in this meeting of me stepping out of order. I do want to request that when we are on the agenda, that the time be allocated to us specifically to speak, so we can have, as an organization, clear information before continuing with public comment. With that said,
Well, I don't understand what that means. When
we're
whoa. We started this conversation and I said, okay, give us an update. And you threw it back and then Eric had to speak. So honestly, when you have a public, thing, we can give you a few minutes to give your presentation, but there will be public comment. There is no doubt about it.
That's a whole.
Correct, but the
Yeah.
conversation, as we continue to have a conversation, we request that it goes back and forth for simplicity of our time, which then can open to public comment. What I'd like to say, though, is that if we can be clear about the fact that the town requested us to meet for this, we did not ask for this meeting. And once the town's request was made, we did request for executive session, and we have communicated very regularly and effectively at the subcommittee meetings that the information that's not been getting to you is not necessarily a fault of ours. We do think there's a lack of communication. We think there's improvement to be done, but we don't think that it is solely on this organization.
The subcommittee meetings,
we would
I'm
like to
confused.
see-
What's a subcommittee?
The trails and recreation.
Okay, well, those are
subcommittee.
publicly taped. We see, we
Correct,
watch
so
them.
then you should have the knowledge because we presented the updates at those meetings. And you keep saying that we don't have those updates. We have presented them there. And so we have given regular updates on the Ridge Trail at those meetings. Recently, those meetings have not met quorum to be able to provide an update. So we are doing our part to communicate regularly with the town officials and employees to provide the updates. But we also are a 501c7 nonprofit, similar to your organization that, like the Deerfield Valley Stump Jumpers. And the work that they do as an organization does not necessarily always need to be public or communicated in a public forum, because it can be coordinated with private landowners and private agreements.
Okay,
And so our project, we wish to continue to move forward. We'd like to move forward.
but
We
just
were specific
remember,
around the parking lot.
in this board's mind, this was our project. And that transition has never happened in an open meeting where we were told that it isn't our project anymore. And we don't know what happened. And that's part of our confusion here, is we don't understand how it's not our project now. Because remember, we were the first town that was going to partner with the US Forest Service with this, and now all of a sudden we're out. So we're kind of confused by the whole thing. So it doesn't mean that we don't support it, but you know, you got to make it a little more transparent for us, because we may be stupid, but you know, we know what we know, and that's all we know. And if we don't know, and not everybody watches these meetings. We're all busy too, just as you guys are. So if you gave us more, if you came in and wanted to give updates, we'll give you a few minutes to speak on the updates, and then we will have public comments.
Thank you,
That's fair,
thank you.
but do it more
Wish we
frequently.
did come a year ago, to be honest, you know.
Mhm.
Hindsight's 20/20.
Okay, so I don't know where we're leaving this tonight. We'd love to have a meeting with Forest Service.
I would like to make-
Everybody else agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so we'd like to have a meeting with SOVTA and the town of Dover and the Forest Service.
We all want action.
Yeah. So if you guys can make that happen, that's great. If not, we'll make it happen.
We'll initiate and make that happen first.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Economic development, from trails to the library story walk. Final locations.
Hello,
That's Shannon?
That would be
it
Shannon.
is.
Hi, Shannon.
Hi,
Hi.
Hi.
moving stuff. So hopefully you had a chance to look. Bodil went out and sent photos of where she'd like her story walk posts to start and how she'd like them to finish. Travis said those locations are okay. The posts are temporary. I did send a picture this time. They were handmade by someone for them, and they will be out at the end of summer. So they won't be there. It's not permanent. They're just going to put them out for the summer and then take them back out. Travis said it was okay, and we'll work together with the library to get them out there soon.
Shannon, how many of them are there? Do you know?
I don't have a total. It will depend
On
on her final book choices, but I think it was somewhere around like 12 or 15.
Okay. And my other question was, if they get knocked over or damaged, the town is not going to take any liability on this.
I think that's probably understood. And they'll be stored at the library this winter as well.
Travis, you're good with this? Yeah,
Thank you, Travis.
all right. So we've already approved this. So thank you for the update.
Thank you. And
Okay,
then-
the next was the do-its.
Yes, so many do applications. The most I think I've seen since I've been here. So all of these applicants, we've looked through all of their applications. I recommend all of the projects, as does Eric. It goes over our budget line for Do It, but we did set aside money for that paving program that we couldn't quite get off the ground. So if we use that, we do still come within the budgeted amount for all of these. And I think they're all really valid, welcome projects.
Yeah, and there is one paving project in here, so.
Yes, only one though. It's everybody this year is painting and doing roofs.
Okay. My question was on Snow Mountain Market, since they're doing a full building renovation. Is the 4,500 going to be earmarked to something on that is clearly visible? I mean, so because we're not into building renovations.
Right.
We are into.
I don't think we've ever had anything apply that's that large. So they just submitted the project as a whole. I mean, it's all, I suppose we could specify it to one of those line items in the estimate. Oh,
Joe.
Good question, but I think visually they're taking down a building, so I think they're cleaning up everything, so I think visually is gonna be theirs. I know it's not gonna be just interior stuff.
No, I'm sure there's plenty, but we're not exactly sure what we are paying for.
The round building is going away and they're expanding.
I know, the whole
So
thing.
there's gonna be a lot of visual impact. I
Yes,
think.
so,
The round building is moving.
so my question is this, we need receipts. What kind of receipts for what part of that project are we going to accept?
I would say, Shannon, we can, I believe we know the contractors who are, taking care of that project. We can let them know, like, hey, yes, this will be approved conditionally on that you provide us an invoice that is used for an exterior improvement to the project.
And I think with $1.1 million, they should be able
They should be
to
able
accomplish
to
that.
find something.
But that was
I
just my point, to keep it within the scope of our
Right.
program.
like, I think we could choose one of the items from that estimate, and if we wanted to, and keep it as one thing and then provide the receipts for that particular item.
I think that would keep it cleaner.
Okay.
Being on the paving, you could put it through, you're supposed to pave the parking lot.
Well, they didn't apply for paving, did they?
No, it was just this, they might be doing that as part of the project, but they only included the building and contracting estimate for that work.
I think you guys can, but you understand what I'm
Yes,
saying?
absolutely.
Yes.
Because I don't want to be doing building renovations for, interior stuff.
No, understood.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions about the Do It applications?
Just a comment.
Yes, Gary.
A massive thank you for the collection and coordination of all of these applications for Do It to Shannon. She's the one who got all the information together and reached back out to everybody who submitted their incomplete projects and really got this pushed through. So kudos to Shannon for her work on this incentive.
Thank you, Shannon.
Yes.
And it's like, we have new businesses for the first time in Do It, which is really
I like
exciting.
it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Better.
Okay, so does somebody want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the disbursement of $65,995.68 for Do It projects as outlined in the document provided by Shannon.
Second, Scott? No, you're not seconding?
I'll abstain.
You're
Oh, your
abstaining.
wife is-
Would somebody like to second?
Second.
Joe is seconding. And Scott's gonna abstain.
Yeah, Daniel's on three of these projects.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank
And
you,
one abstention.
Shannon. And one
Thank you.
All right, I'd like a motion to go into the Board of Liquor Control.
So moved.
Second, Scott. All in favor? We're gonna potentially approve first and third class licenses for Southern Vermont Hospitality LLC, Glass Chair Bar and Grill, Southern Vermont Hospitality LLC, Black Diamond Bar and Grill, and Matilda's LLC, DBA Betsy's Dots of Dover. No. Police department's good?
Yep.
All,
So make a motion that we approve the first and third class licenses for Southern Vermont Hospitality LLC, DBA Last Chair Bar and Grill, Southern Vermont Hospitality LLC, DBA Black Diamond Bar and Grill, Matilda's LLC, DBA Betsy's Dots of Dover.
Second by Dan. All in favor?
Aye.
Then we have an outside consumption permit for Southern Vermont Hospitality LLC, DBA Last Chair Bar and Grill, and Matilda's LLC, DBA Betsy's Dots of Dover. All good for the police department?
I move that we approve the outside consumption permits for Southern Vermont Hospitality LLC, DBA Last Chair Bar and Grill, and Matilda's LLC, DBA Betsy's Dots of Dover.
Second by Dan. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to come out of Board of Liquor Control?
So moved.
Second by Scott. Consent agenda, we have the minutes of May 18th and May 24th. May 24th was our special liquor license meeting for Trail 87. Just Sarah, Joe, and Vicky at the 24th, so we have to break them up.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the minutes of May 18th, 2022.
Second. Any changes, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Dan, did you vote? Dan, did you vote?
Yes.
I
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the May 24th, 2022 meeting.
Second. I abstain. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Joe.
What?
You have to
We have
approve
to vote to approve the minutes of the 24th. It was the special meeting.
for the liquor
liquor
licenses.
license.
Oh, yeah. I was there.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, you were. We do that.
Okay. Thank you. Can
For
we,
warrants of May 28th, 2022 for $133,281.65.
Second.
any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, FYI, we have open mic nights on the 6th and the 8th and the 22nd at Dover Town Hall. Employee reviews are 8 o'clock in the morning at Dover Town Hall for the select board. This Friday, I have the key, I have the forms.
I have the completed.
This Friday?
Yes, this Friday. And then the following Friday, we're meeting with the employees. Scott cannot attend. So hopefully everybody else can attend. So will you set up the scheduling of that, Jeanette, as you always do?
I will. I will send that out tomorrow.
Friday after, the second Friday.
The Friday after.
Two Fridays, this Friday.
And
next
then
Friday.
Right.
But I just, the open mic nights, the dates are going to change. They're not meeting tomorrow night, correct, Jen? Because
Yes,
there's
thank you.
is in there. Not sure about the 22nd, but some
Yeah.
of the dates are gonna.
Okay, well, keep your eyes posted for open mic nights.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We also have the planning commission meeting Monday night, the 13th at 6:30, Trails and Rec Committee. You want to talk more Trails and Rec on the 14th at 6:30. We have our first summer concert series with the Miles Band on the 26th at 2 p.m. at Dover Park. Should be a good one. Hopefully it's a nice day. Jeanette.
Sorry, I have one more question. I'm just not sure who G is on the Zoom.
Hello, G, could you identify yourself?
I believe it's Michael Garber.
Oh, okay.
G, are you Michael Garber?
Or someone else.
Hello?
Somebody fell asleep during that.
Yes, it's me, Michael Garber. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
You got
It's
it.
hard for us to say who was at the meeting if you, as just G. G.
You're famous.
Okay. we
Love
have-
being a part of it.
We have liaison reports by anybody? No. All right, we are going to go into executive session at 8:13 for personnel with the police department. Thank you all for coming.